School. Today we are going to continue the fourth chapter of 12th standard, consumption and investment function. Okay. So yesterday we have seen what is consumption. What is consumption? When you have an income and when you are ready to spend, that is what we call consumption. For example, you have 10,000 rupees of income and you are able to satisfy your need by spending that 10,000 income. That is what we call consumption. J.M. Keynes is a famous author. He has also given his view on the consumption. His psychological law says that when there is an income, there is a consumption. So he says when the consumption will take place, only when there is an income, then the consumption will take place. He also says that when there is an increase in income, there is an increase in consumption. So he also says if your income increases, your consumption will also increase. How means? When your income was 10,000 rupees, you had the consumption of 7,000 rupees. But when your income increases to 12,000 rupees, your consumption increases to 9.5 thousand rupees. That is what. When you have certain of income, a set of income, you are spending on the above. When your income is increasing, your consumption is also increasing. He also says that although the income increases, the consumption will not increase up to the highest level. The consumption will be limited. So when you had a 10,000 rupees, you have spent 10,000 rupees. But when you are having 12,000 rupees, you will not spend entire 12,000 rupees, but you will spend 11,100, 11,500 and limited to that. So he also says income should be there. When income is there, consumption should be there. When there is an increase in the income, there is an increase in the spend, as well as the saving will be more and there will not be a full spend of all those aspects. He has given the three assumptions of his law. He says these three things should be there so that the consumption function will take place. As per the psychological law of the consumption, these three criteria should be there. First is ceteris paribus. What is this? Ceteris paribus means nothing but certain variable. It's nothing but a certain variable, which means there are certain variable in the business, there are a certain variable in the human life, that a wants, like a climate, like a income, like a wages. All these things are changeable. It will not be remain same. The psychological aspect of the things does not remain same. It keep on changing based on the season, based on the climate, based on the data, based on the seasons, based on the period, based on the business cycles. All those aspects we have, on that everything gets changes. And he says when the things are changeable, when the things are variable in the business, when the things can be changed, then only you can see the consumption function. So if the income is changing, you can see consumption. If weather is changing, the climate of business is changing, you can see the consumption. That's what is the first point is ceteris paribus, which means there is a interrelatable variable changes. When there is a changes in the aspect, there is a changes in the consumption, and that's what the consumption function will take place. Next point, he says existence of normal condition. He says that there must be a normal condition in the business cycle, in the business period, in the market period. There must be a normal things. Everything should be normal. There should be not a war. There should not be an earthquake. There should not be any natural disaster. If anything like this happens, any psychological disaster, so for example, war between two countries, economic fall down, all these things happen means you will not have the consumption function. The consumption function will have an effect. The consumption function will have a diversification. So that's what he said. So for the sake of consumption, when you want the consumption to be happen, there must be a variable changes. And the next one, there must be a normal condition. Existence of laissez-faire capital economy, which means laissez-faire means free economy. There in the market, there must be a laissez-free capital economy. So when your capital is there in the market, there must be a capital free. You must be a free. You must have not any kind of restriction. No government rules, no government regulations, no policy frames and everything. You must be free from all the aspects. That's what we call free, laissez-free capital economy. When there is a laissez-free, when there is a free economy system, then only the consumption function take place. So as per the psychological function, psychological aspect, psychological factors of J.M. Keynes, you must satisfy the three things. First, there should be a variable changes. Next, there should be a normal condition. Next, there should be a free economy. When you have, you can satisfy the consumption function. He has given some of the proposition to law. His first point said, when income increases, consumption also increases, but a small unit. But a small unit. He says when the income of an individual increases, the consumption also increases, but the consumption increases to a very limited item. How? Let's understand with this formula. See here, there is a 180 and there is a 170 of consumption, but the saving, see, there is a 240, the consumption is 220. So we see that when there is an increase in the income, there is an increase in the consumption, but there is very limited. Income is increasing tremendously, but the consumption is not that much. That was the first point says. Next one, increase in income is divided in some proposition between consumption, expenditure and saving. And when there is an increase in income, you can analyze that with the help of what kind of expenditure is there and what is the saving. So you will identify that what is the consumption and what is the saving. See, when there was a 120 income, there is a 120 consumption and the saving was nil. When there is a 180 of income, the consumption is 170 and 10 rupees benefit is there. 10 rupees saving is there. Another, again the income is 240, consumption is 220 and the saving is 20 rupees. So he says that when there is an income increase, you can see the consumption, expenditure and income. You can see the divide, you can have a diversification, you can have the perfect relationship between what is spent and what is saved. And last point he says, increase in income leads increase in saving as well as consumption. The last point he says that if there is an increase in income, there will be increase in saving as well as increase in consumption. We had 120, consumption was 120. We have 180, consumption was 170. See, here is a 60 rupees, so here is a 50 rupees increase. See here is 240, here is 220. Here again, 60 rupees increase, here also, how much? 170 minus 220, here is a 50 rupees increase. See, here is 10 rupees increase, here is 20 rupees. So 10 rupees saving increase. So then there is an increase in income, you will see the increase in consumption as well as in saving. The three provision of the law can be understood with the help of this diagram and formula. See, we had 120 rupees income, we had 120 as a consumption, we didn't have saving, saving was nil. Next, we had increase of 180 income, the consumption was increased to 170 and 10 rupees we had a what? Profit or saving. Again, we increased the income to 40, the consumption increased to 220 and the saving was 220. Next 20. Okay. So this three provision says that first there is an increase in the consumption. How? Income is increasing, consumption is also increasing, but very limited. See? Very limited. Not that much. Next says is you can identify the expenditure and savings properly. Okay. And the last point says that if there is an income increase, that will also lead to the composition, consumption and as well as saving. So there can be increase in both of these. You can identify with the help of this formula. See, income we have taken the x-axis, y-axis as consumption, we have given the value, and see, from the zero, that is income. This is what we call income. From the zero is starting, but above the zero when one line is goes, that is what the consumption. When this both meets, this point is known as break-even point. We have seen last yesterday itself. This is the period where you don't had income, but still you have some expenses, like you have bought for the food, you have bought for the rent, you have bought for the house, you have bought for the clothing, all this thing which is necessary. Although you are on or not, you have to take food, you have to be here in a home, you have to have a good cloth or a cloth at least. So all this factor is known as autonomous consumption. Then if you are having an income or not, you will spend for sure. So but it's a help, you can understand that income is increasing, consumption is also increasing, and it is increasing little bit. But you can see also that there is an increase in income, there is an increase in consumption as well as increase in saving. There are few factors that affects the consumption function. That factors are subjective factors and objective factors. This subjective factor consists of some of the motives. For example, the motives of individual, how they are going to buy the things, how they are going to utilize the thing. Let's say some of the features, some of the objectives, what are they? The motive of precaution. So we will have a desire that there is some of the things that if something happens in the future, like accident happens, like something happens, so for that purpose you will start saving, so you will not fulfill your consumption. Next one, motive of foresight. So you will think about your future. If I become old, my children will not look after me. For that you will have a saving. For that reason, you will not do the consumption properly. And motive of calculation. You will calculate, oh, this much I am spending here, this much I am spending. So because of this, you will also utilize and you will not spend more. The motive of financial independence, and you will not have the financial independence. You have to look after the family. For this reason, you will have the less consumption. The motive of pride, you want to live the luxurious life. Okay, so why you should waste? When you waste the money in unwanted stuff and unwanted consumption, you cannot enjoy the maximum benefit. So all these things. So these are the subjective reasons, subjective factors which you will think that this, because of this, I will not have a good future, and because of that what happened, you will not spend. That's what it's become the reason for the consumption factor. This becomes the reason for not spending properly. Next you have objective factor, where you have many aspects like income distribution. Your income will be distributed among the various factors. You have to give it to your family, you have to give it for a business purpose or any other purpose. Price level, and the market price goes up, goes high. All this wages level, your wages will not be as sufficient as your income. So that's all these factors are objective factors. So these are the various factors like subjectives, like objectives, which demotes you for extra consumption, and this brings the major problem in the consumption function. So with this, consumption function gets over. What is this? It's nothing but you have income, you have the desire. When you fulfill the desire with your income, that is what we call consumption. Here, although you earn, you have to spend. When you earn, you have to spend. When you earn more, you have to spend. In the same process, you will earn to the more profit, you will earn the savings, and the life business cycle will reach to the C is equal to Y. Consumption is equal to income, where is the certain period will be a B, break even point. There will be no profit, no loss. Whatever you have earned, fully you will spend. Okay, with this, the consumption is over. In next future classes, we'll see what is the investment function and how it plays a vital role in any person's lives. Okay, thank you students.